Hey, hello. Hey, happy Sunday after a Saturday game. Awesome game. I'm optimistic. Welcome to our weekend edition of Deep Purple Podcast. I'm going to try to make it as brief as I can, although I tend to start talking and I, keep going and going. But really liked what I saw yesterday, and I'm going to talk about that. I want to talk about Thielen and why he wasn't there. Then I have some little extras that I want to talk about. So let's start with football in general, on a weekend. I was talking to a friend back on the East Coast, and I was trying to explain to her how important it is to decide what you're going to eat if you're going to watch the game at home. Like, what are you going to eat for that game? I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat for the first game of the season, like starting May, so I already have it planned out in my head. But yesterday's game, I sort of ran into a couple of items that really got my attention, and I made this special dish, and I'm going to pull it up for you. I call it the Dalvin Cook. It's lobster tails and a Portuguese sausage that I really like, and these two items you can get them on the East Coast almost anywhere, but out here on the West Coast, it's really hard to find. And I found the lobster tails at one store and the Portuguese sausage in another store. And so I put it together in a nice sandwich, and it was absolutely delicious. A great meal to watch a game with, and then finished it off with seedless watermelon. Great dish. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but Thielen was not on the sidelines, I don't think. He certainly wasn't in the game, and I think I know why. And I brought this up in one of my last podcasts, and I'm going to bring up a clip to show you what I mean.
Indeed was a catch, but on the last play, Dean Blandino, our rules expert who is here in the back of the booth, says that they ruled his forward progress, not the knee. Not the knee, because on that replay, certainly didn't look like he was down.
The only thing I thought was they saw the knee and hit, and then bounced back up.
Anyway, they're going to challenge this catch. You know it's in preseason because Carolina.
So, in my last podcast, I talked about how Thielen was stepping out of line. And this happened last year a couple of times. One with when they played the Patriots, and he started yelling at the coach. I can't remember his name, the head coach. And Thielen was absolutely right. And one of my friends, Funky Town, wrote back, I love his passion. Excuse me, I love his passion and all that. And I do too, but I'm not sure that's passion. And then the other time was at the last game last year against the Bears. Remember he had that blow up on the sideline with Kirk Cousins after a route that he thought he should have ran one way or whatever it was. And he's blowing up in Kirk's face about that. Clearly out of line. That's a coach's job to, straighten players out, not players straighten each other out like that. So I think Zimmer pulled Thielen aside and got in his face and said, look, you need to just play football. We all love Thielen. I do. I know you do. He's making incredible catches, but he's still Adam Thielen, man, Cato State Adam Thielen. He needs to stay humble and not be talking to coaches and head coaches, and he needs to play football. So I just want to throw that out. I know that might rub some people the wrong way, but, we got to stay humble. Being humble is like the key to a good life. It really is. Once your head starts getting big, you run into problems. That's why a lot of people go see a shrink. That's why they call it a shrink, because they're shrinking your head because you're getting too big. So, like I said, I was optimistic about yesterday's game, and I'm only going to talk about a couple of things, and I'll talk about more of the game in my next few podcasts next week. But Slaughter is the guy that I want to talk about because he's doing such a great job. And I have a slow motion, kind of it's not side by side, but it's showing Slaughter and Cousins and the difference in their throwing motion. I want to show you this. Okay, so what I was showing you is the difference in their delivery and why I like Slaughter versus Cousin. Look here on the left with Slaughter. He's got the ball in a perfect position. His eyes are on the target, and he's going to throw a perfect strike. On the right, you have Kirk, who has this kind of hitch that I don't like. And here you can see how his head is not facing the target. He's got his arm way back here someplace. He missed this particular throw, and this is why. And this is why I think Slaughter is going to eventually become our starter, because he's got pretty good mechanics that can get better, but you can see here how it's much, much better than Kirk Cousins. And then the other thing I want to show you is a little...
I thought we might see just the last possession, as a matter of fact, Mike Zimmer and the Vikings. They put zero coverage, free everybody after Brett Hunter.
Now Slaughter's in the game. He completes the Johnson for a first.
Do you see how he slid just a little bit to his left, what bought him some time to then get that first down? It's a thing that the Patriots quarterback, Brady, I forget his first name, what is it, Jeff Brady or whatever he is. Love him or hate Brady, but he does that slide thing because he's not that fast, and it buys him time, and he's able to, pick the defense apart by doing that. Slaughter just did that. Let's watch it again.
I thought we might see just the last possession, as a matter of fact, Mike Zimmer and the Vikings. They put zero coverage, free everybody after Brett Hunter.
Now Slaughter's in the game. He completes the Johnson for a first.
You see that? That was pretty good. And I want to see more Slaughter. I think he's going to be our guy. And if you could subscribe over here, I guess, or over here, I have more videos coming out, and it's all good.